Good evening. Welcome to this presentation of the Volcano Shelton show. Welcome wherever you are. I'd like to welcome you and please help me share the production here tonight. We're looking forward to having a lot of you come here and join us. We're gonna switch a little bit from the everyday conversation about what is trending now in Liberia. I kind of contemplated two important areas because all of the things that are happening in our country is happening because we have not kind of set the standards and put a platform in place for us to accomplish pushing our country into a new dimension. So the topic tonight, uh, rather two topics I want to present here tonight is why is Liberia not doing so well in many sectors since after the Civil War? Who is solely responsible? And what can government do to attract investors for improvement in our country? So why is Liberia not doing so well in almost all sectors since after the Civil War? Because at one time we were a nation that was solid, that was doing well, investment, not that there wasn't corruption, but we're not so bad off and destroyed to the very core that we got destroyed as the result of the war. But yet, we are about to clock in 24 years of successive leadership. That's a long time. That's a quarter of a century. Nearly a quarter of a century. So there's no excuse for us to continue to look like what we look like. Dilapidated, downtrodden, very mediocre across everywhere almost in the country. While we may be making strides and pushing for some gains, I don't think that we've done so much because we've been polarized with two political parties arguing through political dimensions, trying to gain and score big. And this is at the detriment of the Liberian people and the country. So why are we not doing well as a nation since the cessation of the Civil War and the ushering of a government led by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, followed by George Weah, and now we have Joseph Boakai. And as I said, by the time the dust is settled between these two political parties leading our country, we will have expanded 24 to 25 years, a quarter of a century. And yet all of the good things that's supposed to happen for us is still far-fetched. We're still struggling to make good. Our resources are being pillaged. So-called investors are coming in, the wrong ones, with intent to continue to wreak havoc on our raw material and leave us to degradation. So, something is responsible, someone is responsible, and we want to talk about those things because it hurts. It hurts. We have enough resources to our advantage for us to pull all of this quagmire we find ourselves. But we cannot get out if we are not doing what is right for us as a people and as a nation. It is frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And time is running out, to be frank. Some of our compatriots are not waiting. They're moving ahead. We take pride in running to Ghana. We take pride in running now to Rwanda. We take pride in running to South Africa. We take pride in running to the Ivory Coast. We take pride in running to many of our compatriots. And yet, we leave our country in the hands of the Lebanese, in the hands of the Indians, in the hands of now the Chinese, in the hands of these people who just come to get rich on us. And we're not making any stride, and the value for our resources, we're not benefiting. The concession deals that these guys sign is to put monies in people's pockets and not in the economy. And so all of this is something to be concerning, about. And for us to continue to sit here and pretend that two political parties are going to change our lives, it's not going to happen. These two political parties are not going to change our lives. They're not. And it's glaring by what we continue to experience. I'm coming back, you coming back, we coming back, they coming back, and that's what we going through. And I was just trying to share the show. So no single person is solely responsible for Liberia's struggle since the Civil War. The country's challenges are the result of a combination of historical, institutional, economic, and political factors that accumulated over decades. While Liberia still struggles, then, the Civil War's destruction was enormous between 1989 and 2003. Liberia experienced 14 years of conflict that devastated infrastructure, education, healthcare, government institutions, and the economy, and rebuilding the state after such destruction can take generations. And I hate to agree with this in part because generations seem to be like far-fetched. It's like some marathon that we have to run. Does it really take generations to put back normalcy in our country, to put back civility in our country, to put back the rule of law in our country, to put back electricity in our country, to put back pipe-borne water, to put back the healthcare after 18 years now, 18 and a half, going 19 years since the war ceased. Our debts were waived. The international community pumped in monies. All we can see, the country remains poor, but those who handle governance in the country become rich. Instead of building in the country, they are taking the monies offshore, building homes and buying homes across the world. So why are we still not doing well? It's because of long-standing corruption. Many analysts and all of the research point that corruption existed before, during, and after the war and is existing now. Post-war governments established anti-corruption institutions, but corruption and patronage, those networks have remained deeply entrenched and continue to affect public services and economic growth. Today, we're discussing the drug issues in the country. Big hands inside. The intent was not to keep the drugs in Liberia, but to what? Transition it to its final destination. But what's in it for us? We want our cut. And people were getting the cut. People were to get the cut. And this is where we are today. But what does that do for our image? It tints our image. Today, if a Liberian is traveling, maybe you're under tighter scrutiny because there's a potential you could be carrying drugs as per the optics. So, corruption, weak institutions, effective development depends on strong courts, civil services, tax systems, regulatory agencies, and local governments. Liberia entered the post-war era with weakened institutions that have taken years to rebuild. But then, the institutions that we put in place to rebuild, those institutions could not do well because the people who we put in those places are corrupt. So economic dependence, Liberia relies heavily on commodities such as iron ore and rubber, and when global prices fall, government revenues and employment opportunities suffer. This leaves the economy vulnerable to external shocks. So when people are asking the question, why no jobs, why no this, why no this, do you know that you rely heavily on external commodities? Do you know that your internal commodities are only good when the global economy needs it? Do you know that your local community is only good when the price is right? So how are we going to depend on sending all of our commodities out when we cannot build the institutions to refine them and turn them into tangibles that we can use to boost our economy and employment, to make us sellable, meaning marketable, to sell our products off after refining them into something tangible? We've heard the story of Bee Mountain and what is happening, and trucks and trucks and trucks of iron ore being taken down to the seaport to be shipped away. Timbers to be shipped away. Gold, the people are digging everywhere. Because you're around Monrovia, you don't know what's happening in the Leeward counties. These people are pillaging. They're scrambling. They're digging pits. And what are they going to do? Leave those places as they are. Look at what Manimba looks like today. I see people happy they put a little or lodge, or what you want to call it, a little retreat or whatever, and they're jumping on the water. The water that was gathered as a result of the rains, and now they're calling it a lake. But look how the mountain look around them. What's the restoration? People just take away and they don't restore. Liberia is already a small country. So who bears this responsibility? A balanced assessment, okay, would distribute responsibility among several groups. The pre-war leaders, whose governance failures and corruption contributed instability and conflict. So we want to look at the era of President Todman. 27 long years in power, when our GDP was more than $1 billion. We're talking about in the 50s, 60s. Look at the mediocre development Todman brought to Liberia. Building a capital city, not considering that this capital city will have to be increased in population in the years to come. He built a capital city for about 200 to 300,000 people. Today you have nearly 2 million or more people around in Monrovia and around its environs. Then you're complaining about diet. Then you're complaining about sewage. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with our minds? How can you have a 2-bedroom house and you put 20 people inside? 2-bedroom with 1 bathroom, but you put 20 people inside. Do you know that how much poo-poo in there? You expect that commode not to clog? Hey, my people, you pray, tell me now. Those of you who got small sense, tell me. Tell me, those of you who got small sense. You got 2-bedroom house with 1 bathroom, and you put 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, everybody taking bath, everybody poo-pooing. You think the bathroom will survive? That's what is happening to Monrovia. The city is overly populated. You don't have the mechanisms in place to contain the filth, the garbage, the sewage, and that is why the city is struggling, and now is being pushed into the environs, the Sincor, the Congo Town, the Pinsville, the Bartnersville, the New Georgia, the Cotwell, the Across the Bridge, the Soniwen, the Rally Time, the what do you call it, the Claro Town, the Billima, the Sayon Town, all of these places, the Topo village, in fact, the whole Japanese freeway highway is a mess. So you overly populated as a city, and that is why you're struggling. So coming back to the conversation, you have pre-war leaders like that of President Tubman, who stayed 27 unbroken years in power, was building around the place just for a few elite and a small city, thinking that Monrovia was a private property and he was not building for expansion. As compared to his counterparts, like in the case of Houphouët Boigny, in the case of Ahmed Sékou Touré, and in the case of Kwame Nkrumah. So today we now look at those countries as the angels that fell from heaven, that built those cities. They were not built by man. That is why we're suffering. That is why we're suffering. So let us not think that the problems of Liberia can be solved by these two Gbagbati political parties called the UP and the CDC. No way. My brothers, my sister out there, our problems is not today, is not yesterday, and it's not going to be tomorrow alone. We have to deal with this, and we have to rationalize it, and we have to look at it from the perspective of coming together as a people, because the pre-war leaders also punished us, including the Samuel Doe, including the President Tolbert, and then we come now to the post-war leaders. The post-war leaders, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Charles Taylor, George Manewia, and that of who? Joseph Newman Boakai. That is why our country remains so mediocre. So why are we not doing so well in many sectors since after the Civil War? Who is responsible? I just told you, these pre-war leaders and these post-war leaders. Warlords, armed factions whose actions devastated the country and the economy during the Civil War. We can blame a lot of the destruction of our country on the warring factions. The Prince Johnson, the Charles Taylor, the Roosevelt Johnson, the Alhaji G.V. Nkrumah, the George Bowler, anyone who stood up, Francois Massaquoi, who stood up and said that I am a warlord and I have a warring faction in this country, they are also responsible for our breakdown as a country. The post-war governments, including the administrations of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, George Manewia, and the current leaders, for shortcoming in governance, accountability, and economic management. This is where we continue to struggle: governance, accountability, and economic management. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had it made for 12 years, and she regrets that she didn't fight corruption when she was partaking in corruption. It's like you partake in the corruption, and today she wants to point finger. When you took our country and put it in the lap of your son, he was the de facto prime minister doing whatever he wanted. Then come George Weah, and he had his boys around him, the Samuel Toward and McGill. Those guys got rich overnight, and you're seeing it every day. And these are the same people that crying to you to want to come back to take your country. And including Joseph Boakai now, who's faced with serious drug crisis in the country and corruption. And now you say you're tired with him already, but then you want to go back to the vomit you spill. The vomit of the CDC. You vomit that CDC. You want to go eat that old vomit after Joseph Boakai 6 years? Or we want to come together to find an alternative that can change this country for the good for all. You are wasting your time, Liberian people, if you continue to hinge your future and your progress on the United Party and the CDC. If you continue to hinge your movement as a nation, regaining your sanity collectively as a people, addressing the crisis in your country, from the drug crisis, the healthcare crisis, the educational crisis, the lack of rule of law crisis, the crimes, and all of these things. If you hinged those things on the UP and the CDC, then you just stay status quo. Because that's all it's going to be. We need an alternative. So these post-war leaders, they have done us no good. The pre-war leaders have done us no good. Political elites as a whole, where patronage system and weak accountability are often tomato reform efforts. Was Ellen Johnson mainly responsible? Yes, in part, and no in part. Because she did some good and she did some bad. Right? Is George Weah responsible? Yes, in part, and no in part. He did a little bit of good, but did a lot of bad. Is Volcano responsible in part? Yes. He's doing some good, but there's some bad. But he has 2.5 years left on his mandate, and let's see what he does. We know that he established the Economic and War Crime Court, something his two predecessors didn't do. So that's a plus. That's an opportunity. And I see him persecuting corruption to some degree, even though it looks cherry picking, as people are claiming. But some progress being made to a degree. So most experts would say Sirleaf can be criticized for not reducing corruption enough and for not creating sufficient economic opportunities for many Liberians. However, she is also credited with helping maintain peace, rebuilding state institutions, and improving Liberia's international standing and guiding the country through a difficult reconstruction period. So guiding the country through the reconstruction period. Improving Liberia's international standing. How much did Ellen improve the country's international standing and turn it over to another government that did nothing to advance the international standing? Instead, these guys ran an internal government with no international presence. You barely saw any president coming to Liberia, top tier investors coming to Liberia during the latter 6 years of President Weah. I don't know how much is happening in this era right now, but that's what, the situation is. So the bottom line is, if one had to identify the single biggest cause, it would not be one person, but to combine the legacy of the Civil War, weak institutions, persistent corruption. These are the things that killing us as a country. Liberia's problems today are rooted in decades of history and have been shaped by multiple leaders and political actors across many of the generations since our inception as a country that just celebrated 79 years. So this is a long-running problem. But now in this political dispensation, in this era, in this renaissance that we were hoping for, we're now stuck in a quagmire with two political parties, the CDC and the UP. And these are the two formidable political parties that are going to take the helm of leadership again if our people don't think right for themselves. If you don't think right for yourself, look at the caliber of people who want to be president right now, who are opting for it, who are saying and declaring, yes, I want to be president. Are they presidential materials? Are they ready to take the country from where it's at? We will continue to cry. We'll continue to make noise. We'll continue to feel bad. Because if we're depending on just these two political parties, then we are in a serious, serious mess. Because just imagine, just the other day, the UP boys were broke. Look at them now. Big stomach. I saw the game they went to play at the Doris Williams Sports Stadium in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County, during the Independence Day celebration, the legislature against the executive. Did you see these guys? You saw their stomachs? Mana Akara's great eating gari. We don't hear much about them. They've lost all the stomach. The only guys who still holding on to stomach are the ones who were able to squeeze their way in the legislature, like the McGill and the, what they call him, the Bill Twilway and those other people. But the hardcore guys, I don't hear nothing from Jefferson Koji. I don't see these people now. They've reduced. The stomach then gone down just naturally. So you want to make the stomach big again? That's your business. But I've come here to clarify and share some perspectives so that you understand that the problem of Liberia is not attributed to just one side. It's about everything and everybody. Everything and everybody. Because we, the electorates, we go to the poll. We go to the poll on the basis of, oh, the guy is handsome, the guy is popular, the guy can pull the crowd. Whether the man saying nonsense in his message and lying to you, you don't care. So we also are our own problems. We put them in power, so we have to deal with them when they don't deliver. Today you're now crying, oh, Bwaka, 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 we regret the 40-year experience, we can't see it. So you had his resume, you had his arrest agenda, and you went and put him there. Same thing for George Weah. You said, no, you know what, we'll get a Peking chance. They Peking been fighting for the thing. Maybe the Peking will be our savior. Peking say, your wait, I will be your savior. The way I'm broke, I'm coming to get myself back together. So that's what's happening, right? That's what's happening. So what can we do? One of the things that we can do is for us to attract good investment, good investors. So what can this government do to attract good investors to improve our economy, to improve the sectors of our country? Investors who will have social corporate responsibility to build schools, to build clinics, to build banks, to build libraries, to build important public institutions that can be utilizable by citizens at the local level. What can we do? Liberia can improve, but it requires long-term reforms and consistent leadership over many years. Countries that have recovered from conflict, such as Rwanda, Botswana, Ghana, show that progress is possible when governments focus on a few critical areas and maintain discipline. You can't come to fix everything at the same time. But you got to find those areas that are highly critical. Those areas that are highly critical that you need to address. Liberia already has important strengths. The country, we have strengths. What is that? We now have peace. And we must fight to maintain the peace, because that's the most important foundation for progress. Peace. When people don't run around, when people are not running. Then we have our natural resources. Our natural resources, very critical. How we utilize it to our advantage. What type of concession deals are we giving? Do we allow those guys in the legislature to just trade our country for the pockets? Trade our resources for the pockets? Then we have a strategic coastline. The coastline that we have is what? 350 miles of territorial waters. That's a long coastline. But then what we have a youthful population. These are the strengths that we can utilize to move our country in a positive direction. So let's capitalize on these things. But where do we start from? We start from first fighting corruption and fighting it aggressively. We have to fight corruption aggressively. Many analysts identify corruption as one of Liberia's biggest obstacles to development. This is the biggest obstacle to development. Corruption. You go to pay water bill, you're asking questions. After you're done, you pay the bill and the man say, but you're leaving something with me. Can you imagine that? I came to pay my water bill. Then I ask you questions because the bill don't make sense. You explain the bill, then the next thing you say, but you buy me lunch. Isn't that corruption? Just the fact that you utter that, you shouldn't have a job. Because how many other people you doing that to? If you can't do your job without expecting compensation or quid pro quo, whatever it is, then that's a problem. So those are the simplicity of corruption, right? And then what it does, it climbs the ladder and it goes to the top and all the way to the president. So strengthening anti-corruption agencies and prosecuting high-profile cases regardless of political affiliation, and increasing transparency in government spending could improve our investor confidence and public trust. Political influence. They bring in Samuel Tower, they bring in Nathaniel McGay, stupidicians stand on the doggone side and stand to the fences and say they're protesting. What are you protesting about? Nathaniel McGill should be able to answer corruption charges. He was the custodian of public money. Samuel Tower was the finance minister for 6 unbroken years. He was a custodian of your country's money. He should be able to answer to corruption charges. He should be able to explain line items in the finance documents he presented to the new government. Areas of concern, the Central Bank of Liberia. Every institution, they get audited in transition periods and even after transition periods. But because of political affiliation, and every time it's witch hunting. You're going after. Look, after Boaka is gone, audit Mo Ali, audit Amos Twe. Because I see that God getting big, I want to know why he's getting big. You have the right as a succeeding government to audit Gafuan. I saw Gafuan in Jesse. The Jesse couldn't even go on his stomach. How are they getting big? I'm being honest with you. How are they getting so big? Are they putting the money in the stomach? Oh yes. You remember Eugene Nangwe was eating lobster and stuff? And showing it to the poor Liberian man who eating dry rice with one chicken soup? And smiling about it? And that's the very man you want to stand in the line to vote for y'all to come back? So this whole idea of, regardless of this, we'll not do it, we'll not follow, we'll just leave it like that. We can't keep leaving bad behavior. We cannot keep leaving bad behavior. Then it means that Liberia just here as a place. It's just a place. It's not a country. Because countries are structured. Country has rules. A country has laws. A country holds people accountable. People who they trust with public monies and public resources. They must be held accountable. And if they mismanage, they must be brought to explain themselves. And outside of explaining themselves, if the explanation is not credible, then they must bear the full brunt of the law, and the law must take its course. That's what a country does. A place is not a country. So sometimes I come across to think that Liberia is a place, because we're not pushing these things. How can public trust be established for investors to come? How? When people continue to circumvent the rule of law, when people continue to cry, witch hunt. You know, when they saw this man had nothing, and now the man got houses across the country, houses overseas. And then you call him to answer, then you the ordinary man, because of political connection, you jump in the street and say you're protesting and you're stopping government from holding someone who robbed you of your own benefits accountable. Can you do that? So We need to publish all of government contracts online. If I want information right now in the city of Philadelphia, I can find those information online. We need to digitize our tax collection and public payments. You go to the LRA, you still got to go through processes. I should be able to stay right in America and pay my tax. We're in the 21st century. Social media has moved this word forward. The electronic age, the technological age, moved this word forward. How is Liberia not participating? Why are we still using the old system that money must change hands? These hands are sticky. These hands are criminal hands. When I pay my property tax in America, I don't know who it goes to. I don't see anybody. It's not going to anybody's hand. When I say I don't know, meaning it's not going to anybody's hands. The network is there. It pays to the county. The county receives it. I am clear. Next year, we'll talk about it. I didn't go to see anybody face to face. In Liberia, we're still using the old system. Everything, it must be paid. People must hold money. And even when they say, go to the bank to go pay, who will go? Why should I go stand in the line for 5 hours just to pay a bill? Don't you want to make progress as a nation? Is that how you're going to make progress as a nation? Someone should stand in the line for 5 hours just to pay a bill? Children go to pay school fees, the line is long from Monrovia to Timbuktu? What are these universities doing to digitize their systems? We cannot continue to remain in an antediluvian age and expect to catch up with the time. This is not helping. All of that stifles development. It doesn't open up development because some of the system is so mundane. That is why we can't get anywhere. Anywhere. So imagine standing in line for hours just to pay school fees, just to pay little bills here and there at a bank. Then the banking institution close at 2 o'clock in the day. They come, they run up to now. They start at 9 o'clock. Somebody tell us they didn't even come prepared to work. They got to take another 30 minutes to set up. What type of country is this? What type of country is this? Every area of the country is rotting. 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 R-O-T-T-E-N. Rotting. Every area of the country is rotten. What type of country is this? How can banking institution close at 2 o'clock in the day? Broad day. Then they tell you they got what they call it? ATM machine. The money can't even come out of the ATM because it's too rotting. And if you wanted to deposit at the ATM, you can't deposit because the money will tear before you enter the ATM. Is this the country that we keep fighting for? I won't come back. You won't come back. We won't come back. They won't come back. When you can't even move the country from 1 mile. Strengthen the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and enforce assets declaration for senior officials. This has to happen. People can come and only a few people, saying, oh yeah, I declare my asset. Then the rest of the people don't declare the asset. Part of your asset declaration should be declared at your Senate confirmation hearing. Mr. President, going forward, take this from me. Take this from me. Whoever hears me now, please type it on the screen for me because I'm speaking. Going forward, any appointment by the president to any high-profile position, from assistant minister to directors to minister, send the president appoints. Before they go to confirmation hearing, they must have the asset declaration with them. And then to do the confirmation hearing, then the confirmation hearing team does not confirm them until they investigate the asset. Then after investigating the asset, when they align the asset with where they are and what is expected of them, then they can confirm those people, and then they have a trail on them based on the earnings. to determine by the time they leave government, do another asset, what they had prior, what they've accomplished, and how they accomplish those things, then before you can say you set scot-free for not being held for corruption. Joseph Boyka, that's what you need to be doing. Nobody should go to the Senate for confirmation without the asset declaration. If you start that, it will compel them. And you will hold the Senate accountable that if the Senate send that person back because they took money, the Senate committee in the hearing took money, but they send the person back and say we confirm the person, and the asset declaration document is not sent back with evidence of what was done, then the president can revoke and then send another person. And we continue to do it until the people begin to become accustomed to knowing that asset declaration is a critical component to confirmation hearing. But after you confirm the man, you put the man in position, then you begging the man for asset, then you threatening them by day 2, day 3, week 1, week 2, month 2, month 3, year 1, year 2, year 3, nothing. But after the man comes out of position, you see him with real estate all over the place, big cars. Are we serious? Are we serious? We're not serious, my people. We're not serious. You can't be serious doing the same thing all the time. So asset declaration must be tied into political appointment by the president. You putting your people there, and one of the ways to hold them accountable is to say, let me know what you have now, so when you're leaving, I can check you again and know what you got that commensurate with the pay that you were paid by this government. Because I don't want to tint my own legacy as a president. That's what Joe Biden should be doing. That's what other presidents should do, and that will allay this whole asset declaration noise where people are already working and then they refuse to declare the asset. So asset declaration is critical to improving our economy and working against corruption. Then we have improvement in education. For us to move our country forward, we need to improve education. No country develops without a skilled workforce. No country. You're telling us that youth need job all day. No youth, no job for the youth. No job for the youth. No job for the youth. But the youths are not skilled. They're not educated. In many aspects of the word educated. They don't have skills. So we need to improve teacher training. The teachers themselves need help. Expand vocational and technical schools. Invest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's what they refer to now as STEM. Partner with businesses to create apprenticeship programs. Okay? Like we call vacation school and those kinds of things, or what the other one they call job training, on the job training. Then based on the performance, then you hire. We have to set those things. Those things were in place. I remember vacation jobs. I remember. Where are the days those things happened? Do we still have them? So we run in a situation where we just continue to play, just open a book, we're not reading, and we close the book. We open a book, we're not reading, and we close the book. It's like you open a book, you're sitting there and say, damn, I bought no book. But the man not reading the book. You just open the book. So these things are the things that we continue to talk about, and the government still lacks the compulsive determination to put some of these things into place. Because why? A more educated workforce will attract investment and create higher paying jobs. You cannot blame the man who comes to invest in the iron ore industry, and he comes to the country and then he got nobody who are skilled to work. What do you expect? He's going to go and bring what? his people from across the world. He's going to do that. He's going to do that. That is why we don't have enough jobs in the country. Take, for instance, the Indians and Lebanese. Why do they have Indians and Lebanese store boys? Because our store boys can barely spell. I've seen it. I'm a testimony. I'm a witness. The people cannot even spell a single thing like nail, N-A-I-L. They say N-I-L. Light bulb. You want to see how they spell light bulb? L-I-G-H-B-O-B. B-O-B, Bob. The name Bob. It's the play name for Robert. L-I-G-H-B-O-B, Bob. Right? So how can a man take inventory, or how can he what do you call it, do pro forma? You walk in the store and you want to buy something, and you're telling the man, you name it what you name it, but he writing something to his own understanding. I don't know that colloquial they can be writing, or that the English language. So so we have a serious problem with our workforce. That is why we cannot find jobs for the young people, because these investors are coming in and the young people are not skilled to do the jobs. Some of them who pick up little skill, they want to go work on the side right away instead of growing. For you to master something, it takes you 10 solid years. So when you work in a construction company, because they finally put you on top of the roof rather, to do zinking within your 10 year, and then you come down there, then you going all around the place taking zinc contract and just putting hole in people's roof. And as a result, what happens? People's houses just leaking all over the place. Because you have not developed the skill, you're too anxious, you want to do your own thing, and you want to make your own money. During the normal times, that was not the case. You go to the mechanic shop, Dole Mandingo Pigine, from 8 years old. By the time the man turns 15, he understands it. But he still can't go and do contract on his own, except he walk in the street, he see a car break down, he can't, he do a little mango thing, the car start, somebody put something in his pocket, he go, he ain't got to tell his boss man, but he show up to the workshop the next day. But on the other hand, some of us, we ain't even know the job, then we want to do the job, then we're taking contracts, and we're messing people and material up, and with no redress. So we need to work on improving that sector. Then we need to modernize agriculture. I said this some time ago. How can we have a fertile country with rich soil and we can't feed ourselves? Have we thought about it? Agriculture employs, yes, it employs a large share of Liberians, but yet productivity remains low. Provide farmers with better seeds and equipment, improve farm-to-market roads, expand agriculture credit programs, and encourage food processing industries. We can't continue to grow our stuff and send it outside. We should be able to process it for us to be able to feed ourselves. Instead of exporting raw products, Liberia could add value by processing agricultural goods domestically and creating jobs and increasing income. We also need to build infrastructure if this country has to move forward. Economic growth depends heavily on infrastructure. We're not going to go anywhere. So we're only making people rich, but we're not making the country better. That's what I found in Liberia today. We're making individuals rich and not making the country better. We need to prioritize connecting rural areas to markets. We need to put in place reliable electricity. What I'm hearing now in the rainy season, when current zones will be coming all the time, or stable rather, is now going and coming. Water, no water right now. No water. Water gone. Every time, water and sewer got problem. So clean water systems, our ports and transportation networks, we need to improve on them. Our internet and telecommunications expansion, they're critical. The destruction caused by the Civil War left major infrastructure gaps that still affect development today, but we can still do something. We need to diversify our economy. Liberia relies heavily on commodities such as rubber and iron ore. This makes the economy vulnerable to global price fluctuations. Everything can be about iron ore and rubber. We should go into manufacturing. We should go into tourism. We should go into fisheries. We should go into technology services. And we should go into agribusiness. These areas are very, very consequential to improve our economy. So all of this issue of no job for the young people, no job, you don't have the doggone skills. You don't. Some of you do, but majority don't. And we're blessed to have a youthful population. So that is why the government needs to work now harder to build the kinds of institutions that will develop the skill set, train our young people, and put them in the job market to do these things we're talking about. Because if you say you're going to go into fisheries, 350 miles of territorial waters is a lot of water. But what I hear, they say the Senegalese are coming into our waters and fishing because somebody allowed it. I heard that. So, are we not patrolling our water? Can we not spend some money on what they call tow boat, or what's the boat? What they call the boat? Yeah, I think tow boat or gun boat or whatever boat, the Coast Guard boat, to tour our waters and make sure that people are not illegally coming into our territorial waters. So fishery is a great industry for us, but we have to provide training, education. So if our young people will be employed in that industry, they must have the qualification. We can develop the experience later on, but they must first have the training and qualification to be prepared for them to be considered employable. That's what we're struggling for. We also need to strengthen healthcare. Healthcare. Many of our young people are dying. Many of our old people are dying for little things. Little things. So building more clinics and hospitals are very critical, because a healthy people is a healthy nation. Training healthcare professionals. Look at that case of that healthcare professional who went to circumcise and cut the little boy penis half in the middle. I'm surprised he's not dead. Y'all see the story of that? Back. Circumcision. Nurse that rather did that circumcision. Back. The same thing I'm talking about. You don't want to go to school and learn, and you don't want to learn in a way that you will also gain experience through tutelage, through mentoring, through coaching. But now, because you can hold scissors, and you can hold scalpel, and you can hold what do you think need blood pressure cuff, and you put out one in your ear and put it around your neck like some kind of doctor. Oh, now you arrive. Then you all in the community providing health care without any formal training. And one of the things I learned in Liberia, there's nothing called continuing education. The person graduated, go in the place, and that's it. They learn on the job, they're pricking people, juking people, doing all kind of nonsense. So we need to do healthcare training. We need to expand the health insurance programs. We need to improve disease surveillance systems. We can't wait until the pandemic or the disease turn into a pandemic before we become reactionary, use reactionary approaches. We need to be proactive. So how do we create jobs for young people? The youth unemployment can fuel frustration and instability. And that's what we see happening every day when these children cry. So government should support entrepreneurship, provide business startup loans, but with credibility, with the ability to pay back. Expand vocational training, like I said. Encourage foreign investors in labor-intensive industries. So instead of taking everything out of the country and send it out there for other people to benefit, we call that outsourcing. We should be able to do things internally to improve our economy. We need to strengthen institutions and the rule of law. Strong institutions are more important than individual leaders. If our institutions are strong, we're not worried about the Chief Justice bending the law. We're not. If our institutions are strong, we're not worried about the police director giving command accordingly as alleged. You let her pick up pass. The thing inside, I got interest in it without checking it. So we need to strengthen institutions and not individual leaders. Judicial reforms must occur. Civil service reforms. Decentralization of government services and strengthening local governments. I like the fact that President Bouakai moved away from the name Internal Affairs and now moved to local governments. So if Bouakai is serious about it, if I were him, I would halt appointing anybody to local government. I would tell the local people to bring their own leaders. So when they screw up, let them beat that person, let them cuss them up, let them do whatever they want to do. It's out of my hand. Because that's what it used to be. Ma Ellen came and wanted to hold the control of power. So she went about appointing everybody. And so what happened? Joe Weah come, he adds his own appointment to it. He's appointing everybody. Then here comes Mr. Joseph Bouakai. He also, instead of saying, oh no, you know what, 40 years experience, I will change this. We're not going to do it again. We're stopping it. Montreal City Mayor, you will go to the election. You know, Pinsville City Mayor, you'll go to the election. Superintendent, you'll go to the election. They ain't doing it. Appointing everybody. So strengthening local government can help with corruption. Because anyone the president puts in power, those people are accountable to the president. And if the president is too far engaged with so many other things, that is why many of his appointees are getting away with things. And if the public is not conscientized to bring to light some of those things, then that person goes unpunished, unrecognizable, and they continue to perseverate the bad behavior. That's what's killing our country. That's where the problem is. We want to take ownership of everything. So how can we attract investors when all of these things are not happening at any cost? We have to do a total reform, serious reform in every sector of the country. That is why we're not making progress. We're expanding government to address employment. Government is not the major employer in many nations. Government sets a regulation and government delegate what we consider in my study of public administration the devolution-evolution approach. You outsource. You take major institutions and you put it into non-profit organizations to run them, hold them accountable. So that when investors and grant and donor aids coming in, they funnel them through those institutions rather than put into government hand and it goes into personal pockets. That is why we continue to struggle. Many things can change in our country overnight. It's just the will. It's about strategizing. It's about being intentional about change. Change is not a muff talk. It should be actionized. It should be put into practice. We are struggling because we continue to do the same nonsense time immemorial, all because we think we're doing the right thing. If you're not outside of the box and you continue to remain in the box, you don't know what the world has for you out there. And that is why we're struggling as a people and as a nation. So how can we attract investors? 3 areas. We must maintain stability. We must fight jealously to protect this peace. Irrespective of the protests and what have you, we must never allow our country to go into disarray. Mr. Boyka, the onus is on you. That authority is on you to maintain the peace in that country at all cost. Because that's the only way it can attract investors. So long we're having all these sketchy issues, drug, this one, protests all over the place, that's not going to help. Then we must have predictable laws. The laws on the books must work for all and must be enforced at all costs and at affecting every citizen and every foreigner. There must be no preferential treatment. The law is law. If you're walking and they tell you that this is the sidewalk, walk on it, then President Barker, when you walk into, you must walk on the sidewalk. And you, the foreigner and the tourist, you come walk on the sidewalk. When you get to the airport, they say they want XYZ document, present those documents. Whether you are a Liberian, whether you are a foreigner, whether whoever you are, present those documents. It should not be for one person and then the other people are exempt. So predictable laws. The law should not be sketchy. The law should not have hidden clauses. The law must be interpreted for all to read and understand and implement. Then reliable infrastructure for us to attract investment, to improve our country. We're bragging about Ghana, we're bragging about Rwanda, we're bragging about Botswana, Equatorial Guinea. We have to build reliable institutions. We can't continue to lean on the donors. We can't continue to lean on foreign government. Excuse me, foreign government will do their parts. But we have to initiate. We have to put into place the systems, the infrastructure that will attract investment. Who want to come and build a 10-story building and people claiming steps because the electricity cannot generate enough electricity to run an elevator? Why build a 10-story building? So how are we going to have high rises in the country? Look at all the in Cinco. Beautiful Cinco. Only 3 to 4-story building with small elevator that barely works, but people claiming step all day because we don't have reliable electricity. But think about it. Look at all the rivers we have in this rainy season. Just look at the natural flooding, the current of the river. And we're struggling for electricity? Do you know how many rivers we have? The Manu River, the Lofa River, the Via River, the St. John, the St. Paul. What the other one? The Kavala. That small river in there. On the Kavala River, we could put a dam that will supply the whole southeast. On the Lofa River can supply the eastern block. Cape Mine and other places. St. John can take over Basalt, River Cess, and Magibi. We're not doing nothing. We're not doing nothing. I bet you leave from Liberia 6 months, you go back, it will be the same. Somebody said when I was first going back to Liberia, you think we remember that place? I said, well, what in there that I will not remember? After I left Liberia in 1997, I went back in 1999. That's 12 years later. I went back to the same damn Monrovia. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Nothing. And I've been going since. What has changed? The 14 military hospital that changed Liberia? The, what they call that other one, Invisible Park, that the one that changed Liberia? PHP Park? The RB Bank, that they just built in Singapore, that they changed there in Liberia, that one I will not know Liberia. We're not doing much. And it's about time that we stop this settling for mediocrity. It's about time that we stop this settling for, oh, we will get there. Oh, we're trying. Hey, man. You want to live 50 years on earth and die seeing your country stay the same? When the other people going forward? and God blesses you with all that you have, and you don't know what to do with it? Do you really think about these things sometimes? Many of you Liberians listening and watching this podcast tonight, are you think tankers? Do you go to bed, lie there, look at the ceiling, and wish the best for your country? Do you? Is this the kind of message you discuss in your Palava Hut forum, your attire shop? Or you just go to CDC, UP, CDC, UP? Is that what you discussed? Because if you're telling me that Liberia is moving forward, I'm telling you zero. A simple 4-lane road from ERW Junction to Roberts International Airport we're still struggling with to build. Simple. But I bet you how many people now put money in their pockets from that highway and have built on the side, have enjoyed the money on that highway. We say we're building bridge now overhead, the first in the nation's history, 179 years, and you're bragging and you're happy for that, as if to say you are not entitled to it as the citizens of your country who have entrusted your wealth to bad governance, to bad leaders, and you just experiencing a haphazard breach, and that's something I must clap for, I must cherish. But you've been paying taxes, you've been deprived, other people living lavishly, and now you're happy? Do you know how many overpass bridges you are entitled to since 179 years ago? Do you know the shuffling bridge is a danger since it was built? Huh? Tell me. Emmanuel Jackson says here, all you have to talk about calls for long-term planning. Okay. To build a modern country, it takes years. Yes. But Liberian, both people just want to live on the government. To you, I think about this country every day and this poor performance for decades. Now, my brother, Mr. Jackson, I just said here 179 years. So what's the argument, my brother? Where is that argument when Ivory Coast is a nation of the 50s, 60s? When Ghana is a nation of the 50s, 60s? When Eritrea is a nation just the other day? When Zimbabwe came to being on April 12, 1980. Look at Harare. Look at the resolve of Robert Mugabe and where he wanted to push his country. In fact, they were one of the most educated people on the continent of Africa. 90% to 95% of all Zimbabweans were highly educated. What can we point to for 179 years? How long shall it take for us to become modernized? Brother Jackson, how long? With everything that our country has produced, with all the monies, with all the resources, how long? Do you know how painful it is that when I drive to work, the back roads that I use to avoid the traffic are better than the major highways in Liberia? The back roads? Are we saying, oh, America? No! America could be messy. America could be sordid. America could be useless if they had bad leaders and bad governance. That's what we have. And that's why I'm asking you, the citizens of Liberia. You continue to rally around two political institutions that are not doing well for your country. Under no condition we should be still struggling for electricity today in the rainy season when we have torrential rain and overflowing rivers. How are we turning those rivers around into building dams? Go to Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. They have one of the biggest dams in Africa today. The other day I remember when Addis Ababa and Ethiopia was struggling from famine. Millions of Ethiopians were dying from hunger. Do you see them in the magazines again? When people want to change their destiny, they work towards it. But you don't put your country in the wrong hands. You don't put your country in the hands of criminal. You don't put your country in the hands of a person who's going to sit at the World Cup for 2 months, abandon your country, take $2 million of your money and go and have fun. And this is the country and the same man you want to give it back to. What's wrong with you? You want to change your country, it begins with you. You need to be awakened. You need to see why investors are not coming. These are the things. I didn't come here to talk politics. I'm talking sense. And I want you to benefit from what we're discussing here tonight. Many of you just wake up every day and only look for food to eat. If you live here for 70 years, is that all you're going to do? Look for food to eat? Look for food to eat? Is that all you're going to do? You pray when daybreak, let me just find something to eat. And then you sit down, 24 hours pass you by. You accomplish nothing that day. But then you see other people around you got everything who had nothing. And you just entrusted your country to them because they lied to you, they fool you. And you still want to give them power again? Something wrong with you. Something really wrong with you. I have said it and I will say it in closing. I don't want to see Bwaga name on any ballot 2029. And I don't want to see George Weah's name on any ballot 2029. If Bwaga was young, I would say okay. Bwaga don't have the stamina. Bwaga is aged. 2.5 years from now, he will be staggering as he walks. I already sense it. I see how he's trying to balance. Nothing I have against the old man. But where we are in our world today, with technology, you need young people. You need young people. When I say young people, robust leaders, 40s and 50s. And to a degree, mid-60s. Then that's it. Because after that, you're only going to get business as usual. We thought we had a young man. But that young man, he ain't ready. So please, my people, for us to attract investment in our country, these are the things that we need. But I want to give you another area, which is to promote national unity and accountability. This area is critical for us. Liberia continues to grapple with questions of justice and accountability related to the Civil War. Many experts argue that addressing impunity and strengthening accountability can help build trust in our public institutions. Accountability. Holding people accountable when they do wrong. Holding people accountable when they steal from us. Holding people accountable when they mismanage. So let's not forget, you can steal willingly and you can mismanage. There are people who have mismanaged our resources and they should be held accountable if they can explain. Like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She did say yes, we mismanaged. We did some mismanagement. But what did George Weah say? Let leader Omar. Because he knew his intention. He knew why he was coming to power. He knew what he wanted to do. So let leader Omar. So my Liberian people, like people would say, I tell you today, Your country is a beautiful place. I lay here every night and I lie there and I say, you know what? There are two countries that have so much opportunities. You can be nobody and you enter these two countries and you can be somebody. Liberia and the United States of America. How many foreigners doing so well that today the Burkinabes in the numbers, almost 200,000, are all over our country in the forest and where? Thousands of Nigerians are in the country doing extremely well. Thousands of Ghanaians. Thousands of other nationals, the Indians, the Lebanese, the Chinese now. Because it's the nature of the Liberian man to love and care for foreign and neglect his own. So your country is great, and I want you to see yourselves as decent people. But your decision, since this bloody war and the political dynamics that surround you, you've not been able to filter and understand what is trending around you. You just run with the noise and you put people in power. Do me this favor today. Start thinking for yourself and say, I'm entitled to electricity. It's my entitlement. Because so long I pay my bills and I can afford it, the government is under obligation to provide it. Same for water. Same for healthcare. And if the government does not, we'll remove that government. And you did it with Wia. You can do it with Bwaka, and you can do it with his successor, and you can keep doing it until we find the right government. But we can't continue to settle for mediocrity and be mediocre in our decision. We should want the best for us. We should be jealous for ourselves. This is not about politics. This is about the country. What the country means. What the country means. We need to focus on eliminating corruption. We need to improve in our educational sector and workforce, developing skill set and building infrastructure that will strengthen our economy. And if we do that, we'll attract investors. But more importantly, when we go to the polls, we must put the people who have the country at heart and who will make a difference. And in closing, I want to remind you, President Bwaka, going forward, take my policy advice to you. Any appointment going forward, ensure that that person's assets are declared. They must have that declaration page to go to confirmation hearing. It must be presented, vetted, tested, cleared. And if they pass the confirmation hearing before they are forwarded back to you, all the credentials and documents that come, the dossiers, you look at it, proofread it, check it over. If you're tired, get Sam, Steve Koya, whoever else that you can trust, not also a person who would take bribe on the side. Do it before you give them the job. If they refuse, go down the list, take the next person. Then we address asset declaration. Because that's a serious conduit for corruption. People come to position with nothing and they leave with everything. And the salary cannot commensurate with what they were making. Or commensurate rather with what they have gained as compared to what they were making. So that's my advice to you. The next confirmation hearing, I will be looking up to see if somebody's going to make this recommendation to you. Because we're tired doing the same thing and expect different results. I want to thank all of you tonight. This conversation will continue. We're still looking at the things that we can do as a nation to bring investment to our country. We're still a great nation. We still have enough resources. That's our advantage. We have peace. But we just need to be serious and intentional about changing our destiny. Let me just acknowledge some of the folks who were here tonight. My friend and brother, Flomo Livingstone, thank you. Emmanuel Jackson, thank you. How's Boston doing this evening? Bernice, J. Alpha, well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Come again. I also like to recognize Cyrus A. Cooper Jr., who was following from Kakata, Margibi County. Thank you for joining us here tonight. It was a pleasure having you here in the house. Harvey Sugar Odell, she's becoming one of my regular. I can say how much I'm happy to have you all the time. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Finda Tamba, it's good to have you. Come again. Eric Dazi, good to have you in the house. Thank you. Zach Lord, it was a pleasure having you here in the house. Dukla Williams, thank you for coming. Samuel Gokai Hollywood, thank you. Elvis Sonda, it was good following here from Jersey Road. Good to see you, Elvis. Let me just post you there quick before I wrap up. Thank you, man, for joining us here on the show tonight. We'll be back here again on Tuesday with the Issues Room, Alfonso and I. Until then, I'd like to thank you for being here with us tonight. It was a pleasure having all of you. Continue to love us, like us, follow us. Our topic tonight, why is Liberia not doing so well in many sectors since after the Civil War? Who is solely responsible, or what are some of the things responsible? We cover those things tonight. What can this government and governments do to attract investors to our country for improvement? We cover some of those things. So I just say thank you to all of you for joining me here tonight. Have a good rest of your night, and whatever side you're on, whether day. I also like to quickly show up Maurice Richards. Good to have you. Thank you for following the podcast. Come again, Maurice. It's a pleasure. And also share the podcast. Share the page. Share it with people. Look, we come here to educate. We come here to talk about what we think is better for our country. Now, you can consider it my subjective lens, but it becomes objective when you agree with me, and that when the research that we spend hours to do and to develop the argument, to have the conversation, right? Hopefully something meaningful comes across that can help conscientize you, our listeners and our viewers. That's why we come here twice a week to continue to propagate the message on behalf of our country, and we want to make sure that in our lifetime, even though I would say 30 years of my life robbed. If I wanted to be, I'm just being humbled. If I wanted to be serious, I'll go to 1980. But I'll start from 1989. From 1989 to today. Check the years. That's more than 30 years. I was being euphemistic. I would say that's nearly what? 40 years, right? 2029 will make it 40 years. So we're in 2026. So that's about 37 years. 37 to 38 years of my life. Robbed by a senseless, unnecessary civil war, bad governance, corruption, keeping our country's progress backwards. I don't know about you, but I'm not happy. I long for the day that I can see my country looking better than what I've always known it to be. That's what I keep saying. Liberia has not changed for me. And the reason, I'm sure guys like Emmanuel Jackson, who's a big brother, we are contemporaries, will know that Liberia has not changed much for him. Because even before this era, we were stable, we were organized, we had all the things that was necessary for a modern society. Today we're just scrambling. We can't G no hole. So 37 years of my life has been screwed. Thank God that some of us were blessed to leave the situation to come and become advanced in develop and get developed rather in developed societies. That is why we can't sit here and be like the others and say, I finish with that country. I can never finish with Liberia. Never ever finish with Liberia. I love it. Oh, I love my country. If you look in my passport, you won't see anywhere else. You will see also STEM, Roberts International Airport. I love that country. I love it so much that I love myself. And that is why it hurts me. We know who we call patriots. We know who we call patriots. And if you can count on any patriot, count on me. Because all the time, my wife makes me say, oh, that man going back to his country. That man love his country. And I feel proud. So I hope that you are thinking like that for your country. Instead of just waking up every day and asking, oh, what are we eating today? What are we eating today? That food business you on earth for? Where's your contribution? What is your contribution? It can't be for food business every day. Oh. What we eating today? What we eating today will not change Liberia. You got to starve and you got to talk and you got to act. All right? So my people, I clap for all of y'all. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back here next week. And until then, have a good night. Good night.